realized that most of the marriages that crashed here, some of our guys here, go home and put on airs, that are false. Some of them throw money around, make it look like, life is a bed of roses, plot money on trees and stuff like that. Then when eventually, if eventually the woman comes, because some of them do not actually like to bring the woman over, they would rather keep the woman in Nigeria and be here, sending money. Now, some of them who succeed in getting their woman over, the woman comes here and sees that, it's totally different from the picture the guy painted back home. She might just decide to, go gaga, or, begins to misbehave and, try to live her own life rather than get stuck to the man. In some instances, you see where a guy, the African mentality back home, where men think women are their personal properties. Here, it's not the same. And when a woman comes here, you see a guy, try to use the woman as, leave everything for the woman to do, or use the woman as a personal, let me not say slave, but a personal property, just like it is back home in Africa. And when the woman realizes that it's quite different and begins to express her newfound rights, then Kasala will burst. Now, on an advisory level, Kachi, I'm coming to you. What do you have to say to people like this? Looking at the three different categories, your advice for people who have to go to get married from back home, people who are marrying fellow Africans back here, and people who are marrying foreigners, even if for true love and not for contract.
Every of the demography that you've just stated, the three of them, they all have their challenges. The people who are in Nigeria, back home in Nigeria, there might be a cultural difference, because the people who are in the UK or in the Europe or United States of America, they have a different mentality in comparison to the lady in Nigeria who is more African and expects certain things from her husband. Most times material things and all those things. Most times you take care of their family unit. Most times you have to throw money around to show that you're serious enough to get married. It's a culture back home. Yeah. So these are the attendance issues. We're talking about the average woman back home. It's not everybody, the average woman. So you have to ask yourself, are you looking for a cultural woman? Are you looking for somebody who is very Nigerian and everything? Is that why you're leaving the people in the UK or wherever it is you live in? You're leaving those options. You want somebody who is more in touch with your roots, who hasn't seen you finish and all those things. Good. That's nice. Sometimes we know they see us finish. It's understandable. So we'll come to a place where we are not so well known so that our respect will be there. It's understandable. It's choice. But there are attendant issues with that. Cultural differences, distance. You might not be able to know the person very well because of the distance between both of you. Cultural issues, mentality differences, and all that. So look at that very well. Look at the person you're dealing with. Check their values. I keep saying values because when we talk about love, I think we're just being
Idealistic.
Idealistic, and it's a euphoria. That's what it is. Love. We can love anybody, but at the end of the day, when it comes to marriage, we start talking about the nitty-gritty, and which is where values and way of life and mental and sensibilities come in. So you now ask the people in Nigeria, the people you choose, or wherever, whichever country, Ghana or whatever, find out what are their sensibilities. What do they believe in? Does it clash with my own? The cultural differences, is it going to clash? The mentality, is it going to clash? If it's going to clash, my brother, advise yourself. My sister, advise yourself. It's likely that it would, because these are the attendance issues that can come with, coming to people who are back home in Nigeria that are not necessarily like you are wherever you are in the UK with a different culture that you've adopted. Now, people in the UK with you, they understand the culture, they understand the way of life, they understand that you're going to work 25 hours a day. They understand that it's work. They understand everybody is paying bills. They understand that you don't go throwing away money because as you're making the money, you're paying bills. They understand these things, so you don't explain so much, right? Again, the people who are in the UK, are in the Europe, or America, and everything, are empowered women. They are empowered women. They have their own money. They have their own lifestyle. They have their own sensibility. So they're not going to worship you and be doing the ballet like what people who actually go to Nigeria to look for women are actually looking for. They're not going to do all that. They see you as an equal, right? Some of them push it to an extreme level. They start being insulting. They are very crude, crass, rude. Yes, that's the truth. Because when they think they are so empowered, they think, who are you? They can tell anything they want to. I believe in relation. I'm a feminist, but I also believe that in a relationship between a man and a woman, there should be respect. You have to respect your husband. You have to respect your partner. Yes, we are all equal. I'm an equal. I'm a gender equalist. But at the end of the day, you must also. Yes, I am.
didn't know that part.
Yes,
No,
I am.
we'll talk about that. I think we'll talk about that.
I'm a gender equalist. I'm a feminist.
Yes. I would like.
Yeah,
I
believe
to
in
have
I believe in
conversation.
the equality of the sexes. But at the end of the day, I also believe in respect of your partner. You have to respect your partner. The fact that you people are equal does not mean you should be they talk to them anyhow. Men are egocentric. You have to also respect. These are some of the problems people who are abroad have. They some of them just lose it. Hey, I want to be Oyibo. We forget our cultural values. That we are Africans abroad doesn't mean that we don't have cultural values. I keep harping on values. I think I've even over-harped on it. We have values. We have the way we do things. So if we can, even as we are living abroad, we have our money, we have everything. We should also remember that we are Africans and there's a way we conduct our family units. It will also help us to be able to keep our relationship with our guys abroad. Then foreigners. The foreigners are more they are free-spirited. They don't have all these cliches and all these things that restrict them. That's why they can fall in love with anybody. But as they can easily fall in love with anybody, that's how they can easily fall out of love with anybody. So you have to think of all these things. They can date black, white, green, yellow, black. There's nothing wrong with some people, like I said, values and culture. Some people might say, okay, because he's Ghanaian, I don't know if we're going to have a cultural clash. That's why I don't want to marry a Ghanaian man. I think the person is entitled to their choices. And the European, or rather the white person who would go for any culture and everything, is also entitled to love anybody. But the problem with that kind of thing is that they're not very rooted in anything. They're not rooted in anything. But you could also be lucky to meet those who are rooted, who are ready to learn your culture and accept you and learn how you do things, right? So the issues with that one is most foreigners are not rooted in they're not rooted in this our culture. And remember, we're raised in our culture.
Fine. Thank you very much, Kato. You really offloaded a lot of punchy, subtopics there that worthy of exploration. I'm sure we would explore those ones in subsequent editions. Now, Mali, you want to say something?
No, I wanted to ask my sister.
Okay, fine. Let me bring it to.
I just don't want that question to skip me.
No.
She was saying. No, she was saying. Should I ask her?
Go ahead.
Okay, she was saying. The white people, for example, they are willing to learn your culture, learn everything. Don't you think if somebody is willing to learn something or maybe try to be with something that different from their culture, that one is loving that thing? If you love something,
I agree. I think so.
If you love, okay. So what is really love? If love only cannot bring all these things, intimidations, and is part of somebody. If you love somebody, you begin to learn the person flow, whether the culture is not the same as your culture. You begin to love the person, learn the culture of the person. You will never raise your hand and hit something that you love, or maybe somebody that you love. Love goes for that. So with love alone, it solves the question. Because for me, I think if you love somebody, it doesn't matter what the person is from Ghana, Nigeria. Because if you love, that's matter. If I love somebody, I can work things out with that, unless I'm trying to work and the thing is not working. But first, I need to work things out. That is love. Because I love that woman, I have to learn even her language, if possible. She is a Nigerian. I'm a Ghanaian. If love is there, I will learn whatever it takes. If she likes to make obolo soup, and I think that is her favorite, because I love her, I must learn how to make obolo soup for my wife, because I love the person. So that is what I'm saying. If only there's love, these problems can be solved. But there is no love. We just do it because some people are doing it. My friend gets married last year, I have to do it. My friend, so this is the problem. But she was saying, my sister was saying before that love alone cannot do it. And I know, but the word love alone covers all the problems that she said. Love alone is the solution for me. That's what I think.
Lover man Malik.
No, not lover. No, it's not. If not, the conversation will be like
no.
boring.
Of course,
so we need to at least disagree
I get it.
and
I
agree, so that
understand.
we can.
I understand. I get your point. Yeah,
maybe
but
I said it,
it's a
and
good
maybe
thing.
she also can disagree with me and
Your
bring something
opinion
in.
really
Maybe
counts.
Flora will say no. You understand? Then
No, these are
will
personal experiences. I understand. Just like I have my own personal experience, which I would
Yes.
cover after once Flora is done with her contribution. Flora, you have the floor.
Thank you. Based on what Kachi and Malik said, it's good. Love covers everything, which is the first basic things when you want to get married. You want to marry the person you love. That is why you want to settle down with that person. When you were talking about the situation on this, with marrying someone in Nigeria, marrying someone in abroad, or marrying this person or in Nigeria or like an African like you, for me, it's just based on when you love someone. When you love someone, you understand that person. Just like Kachi said, also, which I agree with her, it has to do with the values. Your values. If you're a woman, you need to love your husband and respect your husband. That is the contents. If you're in Africa, you do likewise. If you're in Europe, you do likewise. It doesn't matter where you are. You need to love and you need to understand that people's culture, because they have culture too. If I'm an African woman based in Europe, I need to know what the system is like here if I'm going to get married to an European. So we need to, for me, it's for you to know that person's culture, for you to know what that person's values are, then you'll be able to live with each other. So that is my take when it comes to this situation. For you to solve the problem of um, infidelity and all sort of things that has to do with marriage, I think you need to love, you need to trust, you need to respect, and the values you need to have. You need to know the person's values and principles which that person stands for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Flora. We are, gradually drawing to the close of our program. But before then, let me say my opinion by way of advice to the people who find themselves under this category. If you're marrying from home, if you're going home to marry, or if you are marrying an African here, or if you want to marry a foreigner, there are signposts. There are different model marriages that we could look up to, to realize that these things can work. It depends on if you have to factor in all the measures, all the circumstances that Kachi and maybe Flora and of course Malik, who mentioned love, they all count. For me, I believe love is part of it. Trust, openness. It's very important for the two partners involved to be very open to each other. Personally, my personal experience started from 2009 when I met my wife. Then eventually, my wife has been based here, grew up here and stuff. I was in Nigeria, but I never really wanted to come to this place. We fell in love and started dating, got married in 2011, but I didn't want to come over here. Rather, I chose to be visiting here once in a year. I took my 1 month vacation to come here, spend it and go back once in a year. And sometimes she'll do the same. We're just doing it like that, making kids and stuff. But it got to a point, it wasn't easy anymore for us to cope. But in those years, those trying years that we were doing that, I didn't want to come over. What we're doing was constant communication is very important. You need to know, you need to build some level of trust with your partner. Love is first, but love won't take care of everything. There has to be that openness, constant communication. And constant communication will lead to, both parties understanding each other to a very large extent. Because there are things a guy might find out much later in life, and if the partner did not tell the guy that thing, maybe during communication or any question you ask, and the other person will be willing to, provide answers without hiding anything. If it gets to that point, wherever the guy stumbles upon tomorrow, there must have been a moment where the lady or the partner, shared it in the past. So nothing will be strange. Stories about exes, past relationships, and stuff like that. So we were like that. We maintained that level. And today there is nothing that, my wife can find out that I haven't told her. Same for me, that nothing that I would stumble upon tomorrow that I'm sure she hasn't told me. So constant communication is very important. We spoke every day, at length, every day. It's important. But it's tough. Like you say, digital marriage like that, it's tough. It doesn't solve all the problems. So the best would just be for the two parties to be together, love each other, make sure they share common priorities, or they have values where they meet, meeting points, by way of value, personal values where they meet, so that nothing will be strange. For people who are marrying foreigners, there's a lady on Facebook, very popular, Wanyocha caller. She calls herself. She speaks Igbo. Her children speaks Igbo, and she prepares Igbo meals, for the husband, and she's at home with her in-laws back home in Africa, in the southeast, where the husband comes from. So these are the kind of things that when people who believe it cannot work should, have people to look up to and say, no, if these people made it work, what did they do to make it work? And we saw how Wanyocha applies wisdom, love, understanding, openness in everything she does. And it's not a social media thing. That genuinely, she's down and she's ready to marry this guy, and it happens. And the other way around, too, the guy is willing to do everything. They relate, both families relate well. So it's important for us to, get to understand these things and get to understand that it is possible for anyone, whatever you choose to do, you do it well, and learn from the mistakes of other people and try not to repeat the mistakes in your own life. Whatever it is that happens to be what we call the banana peel, the thing they stepped upon that made them slip. You identify the stuff and avoid it. That is it. Before we wrap up, let's have your last words, Kachi, Flora, and Mali. Then we call it a wrap on today's show. Let's start with Kachi.
The last words for this program: follow your gut feelings. Whoever you think makes you happy, irrespective of where they come from or where they live, give them a chance. And you have to put in a lot of work for it to work. That's how it works. That's all.
Okay.
That's good.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Said you should give it your best. Whatever you think works for you, just give it your best and make sure it works for you. Thank you. Flora?
Yes, my take is love one another, and then share your values together. And what will make you happy, go for it. So it doesn't matter where the person is, be it in Africa, in Europe, America, it doesn't matter. Just go for your heart and you'll be happy. Just be happy. That is what you need. Just be happy. Make yourself be happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Flora. And back to you, Malik, the preacher of love. We have a pastor, a prophet in Nigeria, Indaboski, the preacher of love. Now you've taken the title and you're dressed in red. That means you're still in Valentine's spirit. Tell us, what do you think? What's the last word?
My last word goes to guys over here, or maybe Africans over here. We should forget about what friends will tell us, the pressure back home, and concentrate. We should search for people that we love, not about going in because our parents are forcing us, going in because our friends are pushing us. We should just look for the right women or maybe men to marry, not because of what people are saying. I think that's what I would say to my fellow Africans over here. We should look for people that we love, people that we think we can build a future with, not because people are pressuring us, pushing us to do it. That's what I have to say.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Malik. You actually came up with a lot of good points too. And you pin on the shoes, so you know exactly where it pinches. Note, we draw the curtains on today's show. I want to thank you very much, Kachi. Kachi is an activist, a writer, a fashion
Entrepreneur.
Okay. And so many other things that Kachi has in her kitty there. And today I just got to learn that Kachi is a feminist, and I'd like to also extend another invitation to her. Maybe in subsequent editions, we're going to have to talk about that feminism, you know. And to you, Flora. Flora is a tourism advisor and an economist. Thank you for your time today. It was really
for me. You are not going to say anything for me.
Malik, you're my partner here.
But at least,
you're a preacher of love.
I say something sweet about
fine,
me.
Fine. Oh, fine. I didn't know we were going to talk about that. I don't want to talk about myself. I'm just me, Brother Vincent. And thank you very much for joining us. I will see you again in the next edition. Bye for now.
Thank you.